So for this week's video, a job I did a little while back, which was forging a pair of parangs. Now the client only actually wanted one, but I did a pair in case one of them messed up in heat treat or anything. So to start off with, I actually made a thing for the power hammer, which is a kiss block. And this will clamp onto the die like so, and stop me forging below a certain thickness, which in this instance is about 6mm. And I'll also be using a piece of 20mm square to forge the width of the handle. So I made it out of leaf spring. I removed the nut from the middle of the leaf spring rather than cutting it, because as you can see it springs out. So if it springs out whilst you're cutting the nut with the disc cutter, it's going to blow up the disc in your face. So with the top leaf removed, I cut that in half around the fixing hole and welded it to a bar. Now the reason I welded it to a bar is it just makes it easier to handle rather than flapping about with a pair of tongs. So nice tall fire, put it in the fire. This is a carbon steel, so you don't want to forge it too hot or too cold. Ideally it wants to be at a bright yellow, and it certainly doesn't want to go below a bright red, otherwise you're making it brittle. So I'm actually starting off with the tang, or the handle, rather than the blade, just because that was the easiest way to do it for me. Beautiful having a power hammer. Saves so much time. I'm working to dimensions on this, so I'm being quite careful not to exceed those measurements. So once you've got the handle forged, I will start tapering it back from the point of the blade. Now I lost a few shots of making these parangs because my camera's messing about. I wasn't actually going to do parangs this week at all. I was going to do upset square corners, a different way of doing them, but I lost more than half the shots of that, so I'm going to get a better camera. So once that's all done out onto the power hammer, you can see I've actually taken out the hammer marks from the power hammer already. I'm just putting in the curvature in it. Now if I made these again, I would actually let the edge bevels put that curvature in there rather than doing it myself, because it would save a bit of time. And it would just kind of happen naturally. So checking the measurements. So I marked where the point is going to be, because I'm going to draw out the edge bevels. That's actually going to stretch the material quite a bit, and I reckon it's going to stretch by about ½ inch. So we'll go from there. Cut it ½ inch shorter than it needs to be. So putting the bevels in, and this will actually widen the material for you as well. It makes slightly stronger bevels too, forging them rather than grinding them, as you're redirecting the grain of the steel. I don't think there's much in it, but I prefer to forge the bevels, because for a start it gives me a guide for grinding, and this thing's going to have a forge finish on it anyway, so when you're forging the bevels it'll make the blade banana, so every now and then you need to straighten it out. Also, because the bevels are thinner than the spine, I tend to heat it by burying the spine in the coals and leaving the edge uncovered. And if you do that properly, the whole thing will reach an even heat around about the same time. You can see by how quickly the edge is cooling now that it's quite a lot thinner than the spine. There's something quite therapeutic about forging the bevels onto it. Nothing that to do it without any hammer marks or wobbles or bends. You have to be in the zone, if you see what I mean. So dressing up the point or spine or whatever bit that it is. You probably saw in my knife making video, I don't do this very often. So, but after making that small knife and after making these, I actually quite enjoyed doing it, so I might make some more. Excuse me. Hey! Shh! It's the dog freaking out because somebody opened the gate. And then just check for straightness. It's quite nice having a flat anvil. That's why I use a smaller anvil, because it's flatter than the big anvil. So that's your blank forged out. And so I'm going to clean up the edge with the grinder. So to make that a bit easier, I'm actually going to anneal it. So I will turn the fan down on the fire, get the fire quite dense and pat it down. Yeah, so that it, like I say, it's nice and dense. That's just a question of laying it on top. So, and I could bury it in the coals and it would heat up quite quick, but you want it to soak in the heat, just to make sure that the grain of the steel transforms. So, quite a boring process. A lot of sitting down, sitting around, checking your gloves for holes. I've bought a new pair of gloves since then. And then you're looking for a non-magnetic temperature and to hold it there for a few minutes. And then I just bury it in sand and coal and ash. And that will allow it to cool down over a period of hours, which softens up the steel and makes it a bit easier to grind. So then it's over to the vise and clean up the edges. So I'll start with a angle grinder first, just to rough it out. It saves millimetre belts. And I'm basically looking to make the edge straight, because as good as you are with your hammer skills, it'll still be a little bit wibbly wobbly. Just creating some straight lines. And those straight lines that are created with the angle grinder will be used as a guide for the finisher belt. Now, I'm not wearing gloves because I want to feel the temperature of the metal. And if it's too hot to hold, then you're overheating the metal. So the best way to do that is to not wear gloves, and I mean, you shouldn't really wear gloves around machinery anyway. Not particularly good for your fingers if they get caught in it. So there we go. Pair of parangs. So final thing to do is to mark up the handle section, which is quite short. That bit at the front doesn't have an edge, but it's not part of the handle either. It's purely an extension to take the blade out away from the handle. So measure up, centre dot, and over to the drill. You could hot punch those if you wanted to, if you don't have a pillar drill, if you don't have any kind of drill. But it makes your metal wobbly and it's easier to drill it. So, yeah. Don't know why I stuck so much drilling in the video. Sorry if it's boring. So once it's drilled, I will just clean up the flash around the drill holes on the linisher. Just a quick tap just to smooth it out. There we go. Finished parangs. Now they have been heat treated since and sharpened, and they are really nice to use. But sadly I lost all the footage of that bit, which is a bit of a shame, but there we go. Stuff happens. So thanks for watching, please subscribe, leave a comment, like the video, all that stuff, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!